I'm John Kosogof. I'm Vice President, Underwriting and Claims for the Security Title Guarantee Corporation of Baltimore, General Counsel. I'm here to share some thoughts on the attorney opinion letters with the acronym AOLs as proposed by the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation with regards to mortgages insured and backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The idea behind the attorney opinion letters, as I understand it, is to attempt to save some time and money for the consumers when they're applying for a mortgage loan. I think that's a great idea to try to save time and money. I'm a consumer, so I like the idea from that perspective. I always like to save money where I can. In reality, there's nothing new about attorney opinion letters. I think attorneys have been giving opinions since the creation of attorneys. That's what people hire them for their opinions. Many eons ago, I used to write attorney opinion letters. The way that I would do it, and I think most probably still that are engaged in the practice, would be to base their opinion and limit it to the specific document that they were looking at with regards to the title. Most attorneys will not search the title themselves, so they will base their opinion specifically on what's on the title search that they have received. And after all, if that's all they're reviewing, that's really all they can base their opinion on. With regards to the attorney opinion letter requirements, from what I've read, and there's a lot of information out there. I haven't read it all, to be honest, but from what I've read, Fannie and Freddie will not accept any exceptions for survey matters. Honestly, I'm not sure how an attorney would be able to give an opinion as to survey matters because they're not a surveyor. And in order for them to do that, they'd have to be able to look at a survey. So there's also a cost for a survey. In most situations nowadays, people don't buy surveys in most states because they don't want to spend the $500 or $5,000 that a survey of the property would cost. So if this is a program to save money for the consumer and an attorney is being asked to give an opinion as to survey matters, I'm not sure how that really works out, how that math equation works out. One of the things that the industry, the title insurance industry, is concerned about is that an attorney opinion letter written to the lender would not give any coverage to the owner of the home. Perhaps this is not a big deal if we're just dealing with the refinance, because in a refinance transaction, a title insurance policy, when it's purchased, is only for the protection of the lender, because the owner would be presumed to already have a policy insuring them from the time that they purchased it. However, if we're dealing with a purchase transaction, this is probably of great concern, or it should be, to the consumer. Now, obviously, the individual purchasers could certainly ask that the attorney draft a letter protecting them. My only concern, and I would explain this to my clients when I was representing purchasers way back when, is that I could certainly do an opinion letter, and I was happy to do that because I got to charge a little bit extra fee for that. That I also recommended that they look at getting a title insurance policy because a title insurance policy would be valid for as long as they own the property, and it would protect them. And there was an insurance company standing behind that. Whereas with an attorney, there's no guarantee that I wouldn't be run over by a car when I cross the street next week, and if they were looking for any further assurances after that, there wouldn't be any. Life is uncertain and fleeting as it is. And with regards to the attorney opinion letter, you would have to rely on the E&O policy, that's the errors and omissions policy of the attorney, if they made an error. However, their error would be in interpreting the title search that they received. So any claims would be limited to that. Did they read the title search correctly? If there was something missed by the title search, the attorney opinion letter wouldn't cover that. Title insurance policy would cover items like that. It's a policy that indemnifies the insured against title defects. So there is a concern that the consumer is not protected. There's also a concern as to the effectiveness of the protection of the letter to the lender. And the fact that a lender is relying on the opinion letter of an attorney, and well, as long as the attorney stays in practice and stays in practice for another 30 years, which is the term of a standard mortgage, many of them, of course, are paid off much sooner than that, then everything is fine. My concern with regard to the opinion letter beyond that really has to do with what is being touted as a cost savings for the consumer. I've seen certain lenders quoting 30 basis points for this attorney opinion letter program, where a lender would charge its customer 30 basis points. Now, making assumptions then that the lender then is paying the attorney directly and the consumer is not paying the attorney for the opinion letter. But 30 basis points to me seems somewhat expensive. If you're looking at a $400,000 mortgage, that's $1,200. And if this is really something intended to save the consumer money on a refinance transaction, in the vast majority of states, the premium for a refinance or a policy on a refinance mortgage is much less expensive than that. So I don't see where the consumer's saving money here. If this is intended for a mortgage, a purchase money mortgage on a sales transaction, then I'm really concerned because the consumer is really getting cheated then. Because if the consumer is buying an owner's policy, in the vast majority of states, the way that the rate manuals are structured, if the consumer buys a policy protecting themselves and their mortgage is less than the purchase price, which is the case in 99% of the time, in essence, the mortgage policy is free, and that means that the consumer is not paying anything additional for the mortgage policy, and that's under the simultaneous issuance rate. Now, because of the way that the rates have to be broken down under federal guidelines, under the closing disclosure statement, what we used to call a few years back the HUD-1, the settlement statement, the costs are required to be broken down for a policy so that the consumer sees what they are absolutely required to purchase. And so the loan policy premium is broken out. So as an example, let's say the loan policy was $400, and then the additional premium for the owner's policy, and just let's say it's an additional $250 for the loan policy. So the total owner's policy would be $650. Well, in that case, it looks like the loan policy is $400, the premium for the owner's policy is $250, the combined premium would be $650. Under the rate structure, it would be shown as an owner's policy for $650, no additional charge for the loan policy. So in the event that we have a consumer purchasing a home and then is convinced to go with the AOL or attorney opinion letter package for the lender, they would pay the 30 basis points for the loan policy or the loan opinion letter, the opinion letter for the loan, and then they would pay the full premium for the owner's policy. So in a sense, they're really being overcharged quite a bit because they're not getting the benefit of the discount that they would get because there's no loan policy. So bottom line is, I think it's a great idea to look at ways for saving money for the consumer. However, the way that I've seen the program structured, I'm not seeing how that is actually saving money for the consumer, especially when you look back at the requirement that there can be no survey exception. Typically speaking, in a loan policy under a certain dollar amount, the lender's already getting that survey coverage without the requirement of a survey when there's a title insurance policy being issued. So that's another area where there would be a greater cost with this attorney opinion letter program. So again, I'm John Kosogof. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got some good information out of this. Be safe. Stay healthy.